I'll give you $100,000 if you serve me in Chinese. Richard Blackwood's voice echoed through the Prestige Club, Manhattan's most expensive restaurant. Green bills fell onto Jasmine's silver tray like materialized insults. $100,000 spread across the polished metal, making all eyes turn to her. Jasmine Williams, 29, never imagined her life as a doctor of linguistics would turn into a daily struggle for survival. There she was in her black uniform, serving $5,000 champagne to men who didn't look at her face. Richard leaned back in his Italian leather chair, a cruel smile on his artificially tanned face. "What's the matter, honey? My friends here will judge whether your Chinese is convincing." The restaurant transformed into a modern arena. It was Tuesday night in Manhattan's financial heart, where men like him decided the fate of economies before dessert. Jasmine looked at the money. $100,000, more than 2 years' salary. Enough to pay her mother's medical bills, get her sister out of public school, finally breathe. But she knew it wasn't about money. It was about power. About Richard proving he could humiliate a black waitress just because he could. "If you fail," Richard continued, "you'll apologize here in front of everyone for wasting our time. I bet my fortune you don't even know how to say thank you in Chinese." Jasmine took a deep breath. 3 years ago, she was Dr. Jasmine Williams, giving lectures at international universities, her name synonymous with academic excellence. Then her mother's cancer diagnosis came. Medical bills, bankruptcy, loss of everything. Now she was here, humiliated by a man who probably couldn't conjugate a verb correctly. "I accept," she said, her voice firmer than expected. Richard's smile faltered. "What? I accept your proposal. Mr. Blackwood, I will serve you in Chinese, and when I'm done, you will pay me the $100,000 here in front of everyone." While everyone mocked the waitress who dared accept the impossible challenge, her eyes revealed a serenity that only exists in those who have weathered worse storms and kept secrets too powerful to be revealed before the right time. Richard clapped slowly. "Perfect. Then let's make this more interesting." He gestured to a waiter. "Bring the special Chinese menu, the one we use for Shanghai investors." Hiroshi Tanaka, the oldest investor, adjusted his glasses with visible discomfort. "Richard, perhaps it would be better—" "No, Hiroshi. You need to understand how things work here. These people live in a fantasy world." He gestured dismissively at Jasmine. "I bet she watched kung fu movies and thinks she can impress you." What Richard didn't know was that Jasmine was mentally reviewing her doctoral thesis on dialectal variations in contemporary Mandarin. 3 years ago, she spent 6 months in Beijing as a visiting researcher, studying regional gastronomic terminology specifically. Her advisor had been extremely strict, demanding perfection in Beijing tones and cultural subtleties. "Before I begin," Jasmine said, "I would like to confirm, are you fluent in Mandarin?" Yuki Sato sat up straight. "I'm fluent. I lived in Taiwan for 10 years. Richard hesitated for the first time. "There's one more thing," Jasmine continued. "If I can describe 5 dishes in Mandarin and explain their regional origins, preparation techniques, and cultural significance, you double the bet to $200,000. If I fail, I'll work free for a month." The silence was absolute. "I accept," Richard announced. Extending his hand, Jasmine shook it firmly. What she didn't say was that 3 years ago, she simultaneously translated diplomatic speeches on international gastronomic cooperation. Her thesis had been published by Cambridge University Press. She had dined with Chinese families in Beijing, discussing ancestral recipes and dialects that not even all natives mastered. The menu opened. The investors leaned forward. The restaurant held its breath. Then Jasmine began speaking in Mandarin so perfect that even Yuki's eyes widened in surprise. "Good evening, gentlemen. Allow me to introduce our special selection," Jasmine said in Mandarin, her pronunciation so perfect that Yuki immediately sat up. "We will begin with authentic Sichuan mapo tofu prepared with 2-year-aged pixie and chili peppers, following the traditional technique of Master Chen of Chengdu." Richard blinked. "Wait, is that real Chinese?" Yuki raised his hand, asking for silence, mesmerized. Jasmine continued explaining the dish's culinary philosophy in perfect Mandarin. "My God," Yuki muttered in English. She's explaining gastronomic philosophy with vocabulary that not even all Chinese people know. Richard's face paled. That has to be a trick. Jasmine turned to him and smiled. Would you like me to continue in Beijing dialect, Hong Kong Cantonese, or Taiwanese Mandarin, Mr. Blackwood? She then switched to fluent Cantonese. Yuki slammed his hand on the table. Perfect Cantonese, authentic Hong Kong accent. Richard was desperate. Who the hell are you? Jasmine paused. I am Dr. Jasmine Williams, Ph.D. in computational linguistics from Columbia University, fluent in 9 languages, former full professor, visiting researcher at Beijing Foreign Studies University, author of Linguistic Bridges published by Cambridge University Press. I worked as a simultaneous translator for the UN. 3 years ago, I gave up everything to care for my mother when she had a stroke. The medical bills bankrupted me. Hiroshi was speechless. You're a real doctor. With a postdoctoral degree in Chinese dialectology from MIT, Jasmine replied. I spent 6 months in Beijing studying regional food terminology for my thesis. Richard tried to recover. That's impossible. A doctor can't be working as a waitress. Why not, Mr. Blackwood? Don't doctors need to eat? Don't they have sick families who need care? Yuki rose from his chair. Richard, you just tried to publicly humiliate one of the most qualified academics I've ever met. You didn't know, but you assumed, Jasmine said. You looked at a black woman waiting tables and decided she was ignorant, uneducated, inferior. She continued her presentation in perfect Mandarin, describing Peking duck and Shanghai xiaolongbao with technical precision that only master chefs knew. Stop this charade, Richard shouted. This is a setup. Setup what? Yuki's voice was icy. That she knows more about Chinese culture than you ever dreamed of learning? Mr. Blackwood, your $200,000, please. With trembling hands, Richard counted the bills. Now apologize, Jasmine said. Not to me, but to all the people who have endured your prejudices over the years. I apologize, he muttered. I didn't hear you. I apologize, Richard shouted, his voice echoing through the silent hall. 6 months later, Jasmine was in her office on the 47th floor of a Manhattan skyscraper, director of intercultural relations at Tanaka Yamamoto International, earning $180,000 a year. Yuki had personally offered her the position after that memorable night. Her mother received the best medical care. They moved to a spacious Upper West Side apartment. Richard Blackwood was not so lucky. The story went viral, 15 million views. Japanese investors canceled the $200 million partnership. Other investors pulled out. His company went bankrupt in 3 months. His wife filed for divorce. His children cut contact. He lost his Manhattan apartment, luxury car, reputation. Richard now works as a salesman at a car dealership in Queens, earning minimum wage. He tried to belittle me because he believed his money made him superior, Jasmine reflected during a lecture at Columbia University, where she'd returned as a guest lecturer. But he discovered that intelligence, dignity, and competence cannot be bought. Students gave her a standing ovation. Jasmine learned that the best revenge is not to destroy those who hurt you. It is to build something so great that their pettiness becomes irrelevant. She turned years of humiliation into fuel for success that no prejudiced person could have imagined. Life tried to silence her, but she responded with excellence. Racism tried to limit her, but she expanded beyond any boundaries. Arrogance tried to humiliate her, but she rose above all expectations.